September is going to be a month to remember. There is a lot of change in the air because we are now ending an eclipse cycle and coming into a new eclipse cycle. And as you can see in the world, there is a lot of stuff happening and going on. So let's get into it. Hi, my name is Nayan Vazakis, and I do astrology readings. If you would like a personal reading with me, please go to my website, optimizinghuman.com, and let's work together. I also do many other things besides astrology, and I blend this into my coaching. So, on that note, let's get to it. So, September is a big month. I mean, let's face it, every month has been a big month since really 2020. And so the bigness of this is just shifting and changing. If you remember back in April of this year, we had a total solar eclipse that was conjunct the United States Chiron. And as you can see, the deep wounds of this country are really coming out like a tidal wave right now. We have all this dualistic competition that is, in my opinion, incredibly counterproductive to the unity that everybody says that they want, but nobody is really actually doing it. And right now, especially with the strength of the energy of Neptune, in addition to the strength of the energy of Neptune, because it is sitting still at the anorectic degree of 29 degrees of Pisces, there is also the added energy of Saturn, which is creating a need and necessity for structure and calling ourselves out to see where we're delusional and where we're in reality, and how to assess and address both those areas. But the North Node is now coming to the point where it's going to conjunct Neptune for pretty much everyone that's going to be born here in the next 12 months, right? It's going to be within a 10-degree range. And this eclipse that we're coming into here in September is going to be conjunct Neptune, starting this 18-month cycle off with that as well. This is very karmic collectively, but especially for the United States. And when we see this energy right here, this is all about looking at the ways that we lie to ourselves, sabotage ourselves, looking at addictions and attachments, and needing to really hone in on what our heart really wants. Because as you can see out in the world, there is so much deception. There is so many opinions. Everybody has an opinion about something, right? And even though they're all subjective, they are talking about it like they are the right one in this. I mean, even the best, most scientifically, validated people out there. Andrew Huberman is the first person that comes to mind. There are even people out there that are critiquing his work and his stuff, and he's pretty damn on point, right? So really, we are living in a time where you can express your truth, but I highly recommend you express it as your own personal truth and not an objective truth, because nothing is objective right now. Our entire nature of our being, even from where we come from, right? Our religions, our philosophies, our metaphysics, they're all going through a major growth spurt, if you will, as our consciousness raises and as our brains expand to be able to access more information. And really collectively, our six senses are coming online. And this month is really jacking that up to a whole new level. It's like we got nitrous coming in and activating a new level. And we have to be, prepared for this internally, which means that we got to be careful what we're paying attention to outside in the world. It's the people that are seeking external validation that are going to have the hardest time with this, because karma is, especially with Saturn being in Pisces, it's like Neptune is kind of testing our perception to see if we're in Looney Tuneville or if we are actually in our heart space and living from our true passions and desires and wants and needs and whatnot. And Saturn is coming through, knocking that shit down almost immediately, if you're not living in your truth. So say, like you're in a relationship, or you are, in a job that, that you're trying to convince yourself or tell yourself is great, but you're really way more stressed out than you realize, right? Saturn is going to continue to bring problems in there to make it so bad for you that you literally cannot move forward, move through it. All right. Now, please don't take this as fear mongering or anything that's trying to discourage you. This is why inner work stuff, biohacking and self-care and self-love and, even plant medicines and stuff like that, neurobiology, all these things are getting so profoundly much bigger because the amount of stress from the sheer amount that we're getting, like all the consumption that we have going on is going next level. And we've never been bombarded so much with so much information before, right? And this is why when we are in our heart and we know who we are, we check in with ourselves when we make decisions and ask ourselves, is this really right for me? And if it does feel right, then take the chance and go with it, but let go of any expectations. At least that's what I've experienced in my life. And that's how I've been practicing processing my own information in my own life. So this is all my subjective interpretation of the information. I'm not saying that this is law, okay? But with September here now being in Virgo season, okay, we have a new moon in Virgo on September 2nd. And this new moon is going to be at 11 degrees of Virgo, excuse me. And we have Mars here at an anorectic degree of Gemini. And there's a yod pointing to it during this new moon. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and make this exact here so we can get a much more accurate description and see. It actually, it starts in the same, it starts at 10 degrees, but doesn't get exact until we get to 11 degrees. Okay, so look at that, 11. Woo. Now we also have Venus exactly conjunct, or not exactly, but 1 degree away from the South Node with Black Moon Lilith that is exactly conjunct Venus. This is where we've got to let go of some distractions or maybe some things that we lust after, or like the things that we want to indulge in that are not good for us. All right, this is Black Moon Lilith with Venus, because Venus is this is Venus domicile, right? So this is really looking at like how we give our power away to our desires, to our desires that are not healthy for us per se, not healthy for our highest and best good. And yes, his yod is still here. In fact, now it shows that we have 2 yods. So this is going to be a very karmic time, but also too, this is bringing a lot of karmic blessings and energies into our life. Now, not only that, but right around the same time, really the day before, we have Pluto now back at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So now we're back in this Pluto retrograding Capricorn area, and I'll get on that more. And then Uranus also just turned retrograde. So in and of itself, Uranus going retrograde is not super significant in my opinion. But again, because we've been coming slowly into this age of Aquarius, and now Pluto is back in Capricorn for its last time, all the energy that we have integrated and moved through with Uranus moving through the final degrees of Taurus, especially still being conjunct Algol here. Now, if you remember, when Mars and Uranus were conjunct Algol, there is something, I think, worldly changing and life changing for Mr. Trump, that assassination attempt. Okay, so that now that was very personal to his chart, but this is a representation of the feeling that everybody's feeling, and it's going to retrograde back over Algol, and then once it goes direct, it's going to go back over Algol again next year. So this is sort of like a whole year-long process of being tempted and challenged in our headspace to need to get back into our heart space. Now, there's also an aspect here of like monetary gains, being able to create profits, if you will. But with Uranus here, this is exposing all the lower vibrational stuff that goes along with, if it's coming from a place of greed or if it's coming from a place of something that's nefarious, then it's like that's going to get nicked. That's going to get cut off. All right. And it just so happens that we're also coming into the Uranus and Pluto trine, which is going to last quite a long time because these guys move the slowest out of any planets. Well, Neptune moves a little bit slower than Uranus, but you get what I'm saying, right? And we also have Neptune here as well. So Neptune sitting at 29 degrees. coming back at 28 degrees, and they're all sitting at anorectic degrees. Now, this is going to be much more significant in 2025 and 2026, but really starting now, literally this, because we are now, September begins the 18-month cycle of the nodal axis going into Pisces and Virgo. Now, the nodes won't actually be in Pisces and Virgo until next year, until January. But we're getting a preview here as we're really ending an old life and coming into a new life. So we are all going through a massive rebirth collectively, as well as individually. And this Pluto back in Capricorn, you know, the last 15 years of my life have been incredibly transformative. And that's kind of, saying it, nicely. It's been really difficult. I'm a Capricorn sun. So, whenever, and I know a lot of Capricorns that have just been like, what the fuck, dude? Like, let's get this done. Let's get it over with. But that's the thing. Pluto doesn't work like that. Pluto's like, nope, sorry, you're going to change. You're going to transform. And it's the unconscious. Like, I really do feel, I believe in reincarnation. So I believe it's like as particularly Capricorns, everybody else as well, but Capricorns in particular, because Pluto has been going through Capricorn, we've been integrating these past life experiences. Now, this is past life gifts, processing past life pain, processing generational trauma, and a deeper way that we can possibly consciously comprehend, right? At least this is how I've been feeling it. So while it's going back into Capricorn and sitting in the anorectic degree, literally just standing there still, okay? Like moving very, very slowly, because it's going to go direct in the middle of October, right? So with this just sitting there, the good thing is, because it's sextile Neptune and it's trining over to Uranus, now trine over Uranus is going to kind of ease off as Uranus goes back to 23 degrees. But then once Uranus goes forward, it's going to move a little bit faster, and it's going to come into Gemini, I believe, in early 2026. So coming into 2026, end of 2025, it's going to become more exact. And that is when our psychic senses are going to explode. We are going to come into a whole new cosmic level. And I believe this is the time between now and 2026 when the true disclosure is going to happen. Even before disclosure happens, I think there's going to be like some kind of artificially manufactured invasion of some kind, with something that we as human beings don't fully understand. There's going to be a lot of information out there that is just all disinformation and misinformation. But we know in our hearts what feels right and what is right. So even if it doesn't make any logical sense, okay, the heart doesn't go by logic. It goes by feel. It goes by intuition. It goes by sensory perception. And so this is where it's like we're being woken up at a much deeper level. Say, hey, you must get into your heart. If you're all cerebral and no heart, you're going to have a really, really, like, you're going to be sucked into the brainwashing and the programming that they're doing right now. And this is all these cosmic energies that are coming in and blasting us open on a new level. And those of us who are really living from this place of doing the inner work, we're going to be activating so many new gifts, so many new ways of being. We're going to be blown away. All right. So September, back to this new moon. We're getting a taste of this energy that's really going to sort of carry us or move us through the beginning portion of this 3-month period, where Pluto is going to be sitting at clearing out the final bits and pieces of this Plutonic Capricorn foundational energy. So our foundations, the very rest of whatever is there that's not serving us, is being ripped out. Now, the good thing is, this is where we're going to get clarity and understanding of whatever was holding us back in this last 16-year chapter is going to fully be processed and understood. All right. And the understanding of that is going to give us the energy, the awareness, the discipline, and the drive to move into where we know we can be and where we want to be and what feels right to us. Our energy, we're going to feel so, like, the feeling within is going to feel so alive in us to move forward and move into these new places, that what we know is right for us in our heart, we're going to feel lighter. We're going to feel elevated. We're going to feel like, yeah, bring it on. If it's not right for us, we're going to feel down, tired, downtrodden, kind of like, nope, can't do this anymore. And this is where we have to feed that good stuff. It's almost like we're going to kind of need it, not like an addiction, but as a deep curiosity of wanting to feel more of that, right? So go with it, don't fight it. And of course, we see the North Node here at 6 degrees of Aries and Libra. Now with Venus connect, whenever we see more energies connect to the South Node, this is where, okay, well, actually, Neptune is conjunct the North Node. And when Neptune is conjunct the North Node, this is our creative potential is huge. This is where we're able to invent things, create things, connect to source, connect to God, connect to Jesus. The South knows about letting go, accepting, being at peace with the things that are no longer serving us. So whatever habits, beliefs, patterns, people, places, situations that are not feeling right to you anymore, is going to become much clearer. And the key is you just have to make a choice to put it down. When you put it down and you trust and have faith, then you're going to have more energy in yourself to create. And of course, Virgo, where the new moon is, it's all about purification, right? So we're purifying our souls through trusting and strengthening our faith by facing our fear. And these two yods, right, are just looking at, like, it's not a time to go rushing into things right now. It's a time to trust what's coming to you and allow those things to unfold. Nothing there's no forcing anything right now. It's not even, you try to force something and it's just going to come right back like an elastic and smack you in the face. Okay, so por favor, don't do that. Now, and Virgo is also a sign about like physical fitness, right? Eating healthy, nutrition, taking care of yourself. Those are all forms of self-love through purification. All right. So on the 5th, Mars will move into Cancer. And now in Cancer, we'll be having the Mars retrograde at the end of the year. So we're all also getting a preview of this Mars retrograde in Cancer. And Mars doesn't really like to be in Cancer. All right. So it's not making too many crazy aspects right now, but I'm going to save more information about the Pluto retrograde for another video. Now, I'm sorry, Mars retrograde, not Pluto retrograde. But that it will be interesting when Pluto is opposite to Mars at I believe it's going to be at 0 degrees. So more on that in that video. All right. So really, the next significant aspect that we have is going to be the lunar eclipse on the 17th. So let's bring that up. And remember, we are still in eclipse season, all right? I'm sorry, we are still in retrograde season, and Jupiter is going to be going retrograde early in October. I'll go over that more then, but that just means that Jupiter is starting to slow down as well. Okay, so the speed, especially the speed in our mind, because Jupiter in Gemini is very cerebrally intense, right? It makes us think very, very quickly. Like our brains are just kind of a lot, really, really fast, a lot of ideas, a lot of connecting, which can be good. It can also be overwhelming and counterproductive if we're focused too much on that, which is also why these other things are so important. So now we have this lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of Pisces, conjunct Neptune, which is now at 28 degrees. And also Saturn's on the opposite side there. It's 10 degrees away, but it's still giving it a peck on the cheek. And so that brings sort of a karmic feel to it. Now, the nodes also bring karmic energy into it. So whenever Saturn is near the nodes, that like doubles down on the karma, specifically with karmic lessons and karmic blessings as well, right? So this is sort of like the whole idea of Santa Claus, right? Have you been naughty or nice? Well, we're going to find out, because the universe is going to tell you if good things are happening, good opportunities are presenting themselves, and you go have the strength and courage and trust and faith to go into those new opportunities, good things are going to happen, and you're going to finally be, gaining what you feel like you deserve. If not, then you're going to be experiencing hardships, and you just got to accept it and learn the lesson, humble yourself. Like Saturn is very humbling. I've been humbled quite a bit in my life because Saturn is my ruler, but also because of my habits and actions and patterns. And I most definitely learned my lesson. So this lunar eclipse is kicking off this new eclipse season. So we are now done with the eclipse season that started in April, and starting this new one that'll last till the end of March of next year, which will also bring in the new nodal 18-month nodal cycle. And so these are many layers of change and shifts coming in, not to mention, and now that's karmic and fated individually, but also on a collective scale. Of course, we have the elections coming in November, and we're already seeing the ramp up of so much shit talking and splattering back and forth, and just so much nasty, nasty, nasty stuff. We cannot feed into that. There is a way that we can attune to it in a positive way and not feed into the negative stuff. But in order to do that, we have to be listening to our heart, because it's easy to get caught up in all this crap that we're seeing on all over all media types. Like all these media types are doing it. So be careful if you find yourself getting like tense or like pissed or upset. Might want to back off a little bit and disconnect. Okay, because that is the purpose of all this stuff, is to get you mad. And I know some of the shit that I've been seeing out there has gotten me pissed a few times. I was just driving up the road in Florida yesterday, and I'm seeing these the billboards with like stuff talking shit about Trump, and talking shit about Kamala. I try not to get too deep in the political stuff, because I think it's all bullshit, but I do lean more towards Trump. I especially love RFK, and I think those guys their morals and virtues are definitely more sound than the other side, especially after what we've seen in the last few years. But to an extent, like, they all are talking some level of shit. But I think it's like two piles of shit, and the left side is much worse than the right. But either way, I think it's up to us to create our world that we want to create. As long as we stay focused on that track, then we are going to create the lives that we want to manifest. Okay, we are not slaves to that system, or at least we need to step up and create our new systems, or our own systems that we want to see in the world. And as I'm saying that, it's 1:11 p.m. So, whoever resonates with that, let me know in the comments below. So, this eclipse season, we're going to start to see a lot of things shifting and changing depending on where this is happening in your chart. Is going to really depend on what areas you're going to see. This eclipse for me is happening in my 12th house. Yay. Exciting. So on the 22nd, we have the sun now moving into Libra, and we have Venus now at 29 degrees Libra, getting ready to move into Scorpio, which is in detriment. But I don't really think Venus and Scorpio is that bad. Maybe because I have that in my natal chart. But really, with Mars, being here in Cancer, we can expect to be feeling a little bit, emotional, or just being a little too much in our feels, and having, or feeling like it's a little too much in our feels and not really wanting to be there. But we must address it. We must feel it. Not to mention that Mars is also, going to be squaring the nodes this month as well. Okay, so as Mars is squaring the nodes, we're recognizing where we're giving our power away, and where we need to step back into our truth and into our heart, in order to be able to take action in the ways that are going to benefit us, and also the people that we love and care about, in our lives. Okay, so on the 26th of September, we have Mercury now going into Libra, and Mercury is actually going to Cazimi the sun again right around the time that's conjunct the South Node. So we're having a lot of stuff here this month that is saying, hey, this change is here. It's time to let go of these things that are no longer serving you, because God is calling you to step into your higher purpose. We all have a higher purpose. Now, you may not even have clarity of what that is. Pluto coming into Capricorn is sort of power scrubbing the rest of the parts of our consciousness that are not serving us. So, and that can be a little disorienting, especially with Neptune, at the last degrees, anorectic degrees of Pisces. And Neptune in Pisces also represents the media. Okay. It can be very disorienting, illusion, delusion. However, I also feel like the light side of this, right, is that whatever is taking place, it's also simultaneously bringing you to the place that you need to get to see your own shit. Okay, so however bad it has to get is in relation to how stubborn you are and unwilling to see it, right? So this can bring in a lot of tower moments. This can bring in a lot of weird things that you don't understand until you move through it, and then you see it in retrospect and like, oh, okay, now that makes sense. And I'm happy that happened that way, because if I was still going in this direction, X, Y, and Z would have happened to me, and it would have destroyed my life, right? And also here towards the end of September, we have Uranus now at 26 degrees conjuncting Algol again. It's not going to be exact until the next month, but it's very close. And of course, Uranus moves very slowly. Okay, so October is going to be a really interesting time with that Uranian energy. Now, when Uranian energy hits, Uranian energy is very unexpected. It's like lightning bolts, right? Like, where the hell did that come from? I don't know. It's also random epiphanies. It's like a lightning strike. Okay, so whenever you get a random epiphany, which those could be in abundance here in this next couple months, trust it, give it time to process, and don't try to overcomplicate the situation. All right. On the 28th and 29th, also, while that is happening, we have Mars conjunct Sirius. So that's a nice connection of energy, giving us sort of like an easing up of the depth of emotion, or maybe us more accepting that deep emotion, be like, all right, because Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. So this is like, okay, it's okay to feel this deeply. It's okay to feel all of this, to be right here in this way. I just gotta really sit with it and allow it to teach me how to process. At the same time, we have the South Node at 6 degrees of Libra with Mercury and the Sun both here conjuncted. Now, of course, if I set this back a little bit, the Sun will be at 6 degrees too. That'll be 666. Now, in numerology, 666 does not represent the devil. 666 represents the function of stability, and really paying our attention to, which really is our strongest currency, paying our attention to what is it in our ego that is taking the balance and the temperance away in our lives, and how do we find that balance within ourselves to create that balance on the outside. And like a lot of successful people out there, where whatever your idea of success is too, it's not one single thing. This could be redefining the idea of success and letting go of other worldly ideas of success as well, right? And Libra is all about relationships and partnerships, but fundamentally, all other relationships are a reflection of our relationship to ourselves. So with this Mercury Cazimi happening exactly conjunct the South Node at 6 degrees, saying, where are you out of alignment or out of balance with yourself? And this is being able to communicate this, clearly. You just have to be willing to accept your own truth. Okay, that's what the Mercury Cazimi is all about. It's accepting that truth and having a better, more nurturing and balanced relationship, so that you can let your mind and your heart work synergistically together. And when we find that flow, that's when everything will start to just move in a much more effortless manner. Okay. So we're coming into a time where the only way really that we can operate, because our empathy is getting so strong, is through that flow state. The hustle and grind, the beating yourself up, the doing all these things that the world tells you is the way to do it, is starting to become undoable, because the amount of pressure and stress that it creates is unmanageable. But that's a good thing, because that means that we're getting smarter and we're understanding more evolved ways of how to be. And with the shift in the way that we process this stress and all this information running through us, it'll reverse our age, right? The reason why people age so quickly in the last couple thousand years, because the sheer amount of a lower vibrational anger and irritation and resentment and guilt and shame and all this stuff, you just live and hold on to it like you need it. We're letting all that go now. The more you allow yourself to let it go, the more able you're going to be to fly, to flourish. This is the new currency. This is where the world is going. At least the ones who want to have a happy, better life. Because nobody wants to feel like shit all the time. You know what I mean? Like, so what you can have all the money in the world, but if you feel like total shit, or if you're a slave to a system that you created that is not something that you love, what is the point? I understand, like for me, I want to set up something that's generational, right? And setting up that generational stuff may take time. I've already worked a lot for it, but I work for it so that I don't have to always work for it. You know what I mean? So it's important to identify and recognize where it is that we may be getting in our own way, and then let it go within. And as within, so without. So we really truly let it go within, things will start flowing. And starting this month, we're starting a 18-month cycle. Well, the 18-month cycle actually doesn't officially start until January. So I'd say a 2-year cycle. But either way, this next 2 years is going to be massive amounts of change like we have not seen probably ever in humanity. I mean, big, huge, 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 huge. You know what I mean? And another word on the North Node conjunct Neptune, because so many of us are going to be having birthdays in this next 12 months with this conjunction going on. This is going to be calling out where there's a lack of authenticity, but also it's going to really accelerate our ability to connect with God. So I have a feeling a lot of things are going to be coming out to try to deter people from connecting. They're trying to get people addicted to drugs or sugar or all these artificial foods. For one, I'm seeing all the flip side of that, where people are actually really stepping into making the changes that need to be made in order to be able to, offer healthier, better, safer versions. And, this is a part of my mission too. So I hope this information helps you out. If it does, please like, share, and subscribe, and let me know how you're doing. And if you're looking forward to this new eclipse cycle, all right? Have a wonderful, wonderful September, and I'll see y'all on the next video. Out.